selling it right, no room for a guess. The mics are hot, the beats hit hard, fans throw their hands high in the yard. Deals and impressions like a verbal sprint.
Guys,
Friday at noon. Boom, it's time.
welcome to earnings season, and it's going great. Just
Is it?
fantastically. No, it's not. It's dumpster fire.
We're going to cover earnings today. This might be our second all news episode because the news keeps on coming. You know, usually what we do right after AdTech Ad Talk, and remind me, I have a call right at 1 when we end today. Usually we sit around for a few minutes and go through what we said and come up with the title out of the things we said. This time we have the title in advance because in the AdTech Ad Talk Slack, Marley dropped the line. What say it, Marley? What is it about the juice?
The juice is dripping.
The juice is dripping. Gareth, stop. In Gen Z, we don't have that kind of double entendre anymore. Stop it. These phrases don't have these meanings. You can say friction maxing or raw dogging, and it does not have that kind of context. Grow up and grow down.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I guess it's grow down, huh?
Grow down. Yeah, I get it. The juice is dripping, meaning that there's so many stories with so much content, juicy content.
There is a lot of juicy content.
It's overflowing. So we'll cover that. But what do you want to do first? S-chain?
Oh, yes. Let's talk about this, guys.
I'm just kidding. Well, all right. What is S-chain?
Okay. Well, we don't have to go. Yeah, we don't have to go too deep into it. So basically, when the buy side convinced the industry that they cared about supply path optimization, which I maintain to this day that they don't actually care about it, people built a whole bunch of stuff that has been very taxing on the IAB and on the exchanges and especially on the publishers, because I'm saying this from the perspective of someone who's been asked these questions by publishers, and publishers don't know how this works either. And like, I'm not actually gonna say that I particularly know how this works because I give myself maybe a C, maybe a C plus. But here's the thesis. The thesis is the IAB created a little file. And in that little file, like sellers.json, you add for each node when an ad is auctioned, you are supposed to add yourself in. And the technical rule is if you are a billing intermediary, that's when you have to add yourself in, because ostensibly what people cared about was how many billing intermediaries exist after I bid until it finally gets to the publisher. And that was the whole purpose of this.
Does billing intermediary mean the money actually flows among those billers?
Yes, in the actual path, the actual transaction path before the money gets to the publisher, it touches their hands and they get paid it and then they have to pay it out. It was a transparency initiative. It's a big transparency initiative. The problem is people are expected to like compile this themselves, right? The rule is you exchange intermediary have to add your own node when the impression comes to you and when you pass it on to someone else. And people have just stopped doing that. And like,
because nobody was looking at them, but maybe Jounce, right?
Like,
you ever seen a Jounce report?
Yeah, so Jounce would absolutely look at these things. They would do analyses of these things. But it's real hard to see when somebody cheats, because the fact of the matter is, to know when that occurs, you have to do all sorts of unpacking. And where this is a real problem is in CTV, because in CTV, it's very hard to see down. So after you're serving the final ad, it's very hard for you to say, oh, well, these are all of the systems that participated. And not only that, these are the companies that took fees out of it. But I think the long and short of this is, in lieu of them creating these things, we've also like passed terms for the different types of companies in there. And this is where the idea of reseller originally came from.
Right.
So do you know the provenance of reseller, Adam? That's a good question. All right, then let's start there. The provenance of reseller in ads.txt, which is a file that publishers host.
The question is, who came up with that?
No. So what is it?
It's a text file. I know that. People use this as a text file on the publisher page. You can actually go there and see it.
Sure
by
can.
typing ads.txt, and it's just a list of direct and approved indirect sellers.
So
It's
the
to stop domain
technical,
spoofing. It was like an emergency measure to stop domain spoofing. So at least Yahoo has a way of declaring who's allowed to sell yahoo.com. So if you see someone selling yahoo.com and they're not on that list, you know it's not them.
so this is also where the term reseller originated. Because what you just mentioned, right, authorized sellers of it, a reseller in this scenario refers explicitly to someone who has an account with an exchange. So it's going to come from this company, company A, and that company is going to pay the publisher, but the exchange is going to pay company A. They're not going to pay the publisher directly. That was what reseller originally meant. This is a company who is using a reseller account at the exchange, and they are middlemaning the money before it gets to the publisher. Direct was supposed to mean this is the publisher's direct account, and the exchange is paying the publisher directly. That was what the distinction was supposed to be.
Okay.
The problem that we've run into is there are lots of companies that manage ads for publishers. And is that a reseller or direct? Right? So a publisher works with, I don't know, Raptive.
Yeah.
Raptive is the only way to buy that publisher's inventory. It's the only way. But
Yeah.
Raptive is not the publisher.
Right.
Raptive is a company.
Right.
Is that a direct line or a reseller line when they're using Raptive's accounts?
Why does it matter? They're authorized either way, right?
It shouldn't matter, but people go and look at ads.txt files and see reseller, which for a long time, Raptive was told you need to write reseller because you are not the publisher. And they went, oh, this is an intermediary. I don't want to buy from them at all. I don't want to buy publisher inventory from Raptive. And I wouldn't be saying this if I hadn't personally encountered this in the last 3 months, where I've had people tell me they don't buy from companies like Raptive because they're intermediaries. And I'm like, wait.
They're the publisher's agent. It's like saying I won't buy this
been ruined
Toyota ad because it's coming from an agency. It's like, no.
You got it. And not just any agency, the agency of record. Toyota's only agency. The only way that Toyota runs ads is that agency.
Yeah.
You cannot get a Toyota ad unless it's through that agency.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm seeing this. I've seen multiple buyers tell me that they don't want to buy inventory from certain companies because they have reseller ads.txt lines on the publisher, and that's not the publisher's account inside the exchanges. And I'm like, guys, it's 2026. Like, we're supposed to like agree on how this stuff works. And there are huge swaths of the internet being optimized away from because they're perceived as indirect supply paths when that's not the case. And IAB rolled out a term for this. They call them intermediaries. So an intermediary is distinct from a reseller. An intermediary.
That's worse. That's a worse.
It's
name.
worse. It's worse. I saw this and I was like, oh my God, that sounds so much worse. Could you pick a better word? And
Why don't they just call it seller agent of record? Agentic AI will fix this, right?
I
The
mean,
agentic AI will know what to do. No,
but this
of course,
is
the
real,
agentic
man.
AI is going to follow these bad labels.
It's gonna follow the bad labels, and to be fair, like it's hard to tell, and people put bullshit in their ads.txt files. I have great stories about ads.
But these are big companies,
files.
Raptive and Attitude and Mediavine.
Big companies, man. Big
Yeah,
companies,
very
huge numbers of
reputable.
publishers, reputable companies. The only way to buy the inventory is to buy it from them. Like to optimize away from them because you think that they are an intermediary, which, to be fair, in defense of the people who say they don't want to buy from intermediaries, stopping buying from the companies labeled intermediaries is reasonable at face value. Like that is, it is not an unreasonable behavior.
You would think so. Yeah.
But this is all to say that this is a mess, and I think SPO is a mess, and I think that we've made all this stuff way too complicated. And there are lots of companies that I talk to buyers all the time because I work with a lot of these guys. So like Gamera is like a partner of a lot of these big I would say publisher agencies of record. And I will talk to buyers and buyers will be like, oh, I have this turned off because this is an intermediary. And like, because they just didn't bat an eye, right? There's so much inventory out there. Like they don't notice when they turn these guys off. And it's like, wait, Why did you turn this off? How long? How long? How long have you shut off this company that works with thousands of publishers? And they're like, oh,
Why don't
years
the
ago.
SSPs? Why don't the SSPs help regulate this? It seems to be in their interest.
I think they started the problem because they like were originally they were the ones who first started working with resellers, right? In general, right? And we can have a whole discourse about resellers and open path versus resellers and the whole thing. But
Yeah,
then
if you want to chase
as
all our viewers away.
yeah, exactly. If we want everyone to stop listening. Um, but what had happened was once again, ad tech is full of trust. And this whole direct versus reseller thing, buyers really liked seeing the direct lines. So you know what people started to do? They started to lie. And you would see ads.txt files full of direct lines, and the exchanges
Yeah,
would be the ones who told the publishers to do it because they realized, oh, when publisher, if you slap a direct one on there, it'll make more money.
yeah, I remember
So
this.
they were part of the problem,
You could
man.
even
Like they,
sell them. People were paying publishers to get named the direct seller.
you
The
got
publisher
it.
would be like, "Oh yeah, well, it's money."
It's money. So I think the reason they didn't fix it is because a lot of them were benefiting from
Wow.
the shenanigans, and it's a prisoner's dilemma thing, right? Like if you're the one who plays by the rules, you make less money. So like no one's rewarding people to play by the rules and label things properly. Just one more of those things.
That happens
There-
a lot. All right, we
So
better
yeah,
zoom out before we lose
time to
any
zoom out.
new
Sorry,
viewers.
guys. I've been wanting to rant about this for a while because I have these phone calls. And if you're an SPO on the buy side and you want to understand these terms, hell, if you see a company, ping me in chat. Just chat the company, and I'll be like, that's a real company, or that's not a real company, to the best of my ability. I can't say I know everyone, but I know a lot of them.
That's how we met. I was thinking about how we met when people were talking about comparing OpenPath. Maybe we should get into it. Maybe we should get into it first. Which
Sure.
story was up first? We did Trishula's story last week, right? We're just
I
doing
think we did.
additional fallout from it.
I mean,
We'll
there's been
do,
all of this. We,
we'll
we
do it
didn't
as
have
part of
earnings last
earnings.
week. Yeah, we didn't have earnings.
Let's just see what we
Now
land
we have
on.
earnings.
Let's see what we land on. I was late today, so I didn't get to see the run through. All right, the whistleblower story from Digiday is up first. Seb Joseph did some solid reporting on the filing. He was invited on the show and turned us down.
Oh, Seb.
What do you think of that? Well, it is I don't know where he lives, but if he lives in London, it's late on a Friday for him. So that could be why. Plenty of reasons, plenty of possible reasons. Anyway, this story is about we're covering it because of what came out in the suit is interesting and illustrative. The suit itself is a conflict between a former employee and a holding company that we don't have to comment on. That'll get sorted out in the courts of whether or not he was unjustly fired, and they're making claims back and forth against each other. But what has come to light for pretty much the first time is common practices in the industry that have existed since the beginning of the advertising industry around the topic, all variations of what's called principal buying. Principal buying is a financial arrangement where somebody buys something and then resells it, sort of like you were just talking, buying inventory and reselling it. And the holding company is doing this on massive scale in the way that a bank might with some other asset, or a big brokerage might do with financial assets. And like I said, it goes back to the beginning of advertising. I once read a book about the history of advertising. It's good, called The Mirror Makers. And it reveals right at the beginning, surprising factoid, that in the 19th century, the media agency started as a company that got the bright idea to buy up space in all the local newspapers around the country, which was the only mass media at the time, to be able to offer the first big advertisers, who were like Sears, Roebuck and Company, ways to do national advertising campaigns and regional advertising campaigns. So they would buy all this space and mark it up 15%. And for that 15%, Sears would get quite a good service, the ability to run national or regional campaigns without having to call 75 newspapers, and the ability to wait as long as they wanted, right? To not have to act in time for that space to fill up, because it was more or less reserved for them. So that's a legitimate business and a good model. And the way it's done has varied throughout the history of advertising and varies in different countries around the world. Specifically, the one that's coming up now and is controversial is rebates, where instead of just buying it and reselling it, you buy it for a certain price. The agency liquidates that inventory, meaning they sell it or move it through media plans to their clients, and then they get some of that money back from the publisher. That's most, as far as I know, legal in the US. I know that it's very common, and there are a lot of ways to structure this around the financial moment, right? If they physically give money back, that's one thing. The way Google does it is they lower your price at first, and if you don't meet the commitment, they claw that reduced price back, meaning you have to pay them additional money. That's not technically a rebate, but it's effectively the same thing. And Google's famous deals got what are they called? They used to be called DVIPs. I think now they're called VIPs, Video Incentive Program, are in the billions with all the holding companies, right? So some information about it came out, and now people are talking about it. And as I said last week, and I'll say again, the advertiser's role in this is also controversial. And I always point to the advertiser role because advertisers adopted procurement departments, which try to get the lowest possible price. They're rewarded for getting the lower possible price. And it's like one of these automated agents, right? Acting on bad information. You get the lowest possible CPM appearing on the spreadsheet when the agency applies, but maybe they're getting some rebate, and it's not what it looks like if you don't know about the rebate. And, there's one way that it could be fixed was if the advertiser insisted, asked for clarity, or if the people who help advertisers select agencies, which is another set of consultancies, including MediaLink and McKinsey, actually helped them understand how money flows in this industry. And right, the fact of it is, sometimes you run into an attitude. It feels like from the agency side that advertisers have an attitude that this shouldn't cost money. The service of media buying for a big advertiser shouldn't cost any money, or should cost a tiny amount of money, or just the wrong-headed idea that if you reduce the amount of money they make the lowest, that the service is such a commodity that you win. And it's just not true, right? The more you pay, there's a relationship between paying more and getting better service. There's better people and more work and better tools. And for me, the solution is let's talk about all these issues. Because if agencies, I think an easy way to say it is, if agencies won't pay for innovation in media buying, what they end up paying for is innovation in financial arrangements, right? It's like clandestine innovation and how to structure deals so that the agency makes money on some back end, right? And that's not the kind of innovation that generally is benefiting the client, right? They should want to pay for innovative tools, innovative ideas, and innovative media buys. All right, let's get to the question or comment. That's our friend Kara. Can you riff on how principal buying impacts channel mix recos from agencies? I always thought it must shift budget to channels that pay versus what's best for the brand's goals. Yeah, exactly. And I could share a bit of firsthand experience. So the word is secondary liquidation. It means the agency is holding this asset. They have to liquidate it. It doesn't last forever. It usually lasts a calendar year, but can last longer. But the agency has to sell it to their advertiser. They don't literally sell it. The way they sell it is they put that advertisers, they put it in media plans, right? They create insertion orders, and they put budgets against money spent. And then this is really a can of worms because the allocation decisions are supposed to be based on performance. The media agency is usually in charge of measurement of performance. The client itself hopefully is looking at performance. But I could share, if not to say that agencies are corrupt on the whole, or even this situation that I was corrupt, but I've been in a situation within an agency where some executive is coming down and saying, can you spend more on this, right? I was on a search team.
We need to hit our rebate.
Yeah, they want to make sure that they liquidate this asset, earn the rebate, and don't get the price crawled back. I've been in from multiple times, and it's especially silly in search, where I started my career, because search volume is based on how many people search. So someone saying, can you spend more in Google search, or can you spend more in Bing search, is essentially saying, can you get more people to search our keywords in Google and Bing? No, that's not how it works. I guess we could bid up, and they were like, yes, that thing you said, do that thing. but then of course bidding up is wasting the client's money. So this is a problem. It's a reason to be transparent. The guarantees are usually based on the agency's previous year spend plus something, right? So it's based on the assumption we like this partner. You know, we spent $1 billion on YouTube last year. Why wouldn't we spend 1.5 billion? And then the reasons come up why you don't want to spend, or that the client doesn't want to spend 1.5. Your mix of clients changes throughout the year. And an agency is like, we're not going to get stuck with this. We're going to find a way, right? And one of the things that uh, that agency trading desks were criticized for was using the trading desk as the secondary liquidation method, because inside the trading desk, you could point a DSP to a deal, and it's easier to cover up with an, it's viewed as easier to cover up with an agency trading desk, especially with a deal with a floor that's very hard for the buyer without going through the data to understand. Maybe you could have got that same placement for a lower price from another publisher or another SSP. So, all right. So, Karen, does that answer your question? Yes, it creates problems, and it's not the end of the world, but it's something that the whole agency should be very grown up about. And that I would, if I'm going to hammer anyone, it's the consultants of agencies to help people. And me and Gareth have raised our hands many times to do free classes on how money flows work in our industry for anyone who wants to know and be better at negotiating.
Now, I have a question, Adam. So, principle-based buying, I thought my understanding as a layman, and I am indeed a layman for this, is that there's a second component to it, right? So there's a principal position question where they're buying things in bulk, but also there's normally a hard performance goal, isn't there? Where the buyer goes, listen, this is what I want you to deliver to me, and I don't care how much money you make as long as I get this for this price. Is that a part of it?
I mean, is that the agency talking to the publisher or the
No,
client?
the advertiser talking to the agency. I thought principle-based buying included like some sort of outcome component.
It can, yeah. These are negotiated, right? They're
Yeah.
negotiated deals. In a normal, in pure principle, the legit way, the client is like, I'm buying it from you. I'm buying it from you, agency. I don't care what you got it or what you paid for. I'm buying
Yeah.
it from you, and I'll buy it from you as long as it performs. Issues come up when there's something clandestine and they're pushing something that's not in your interest, right? Conflict arises in the
Yeah.
deal. So yes,
But
there can be performance kickers. I think one thing that's changed with digital is the time frame, right? The time frame to decide is now, I would say, like a millisecond, right? It's come down, right? This model comes from when you would be like buying the next season of a hit TV show,
yeah.
right? Where it was guaranteed if it's a hit TV show last year, it's not going to lose all its audience. It's probably going to be a hit. And if it's an even bigger hit, if the next season's even bigger and gets more viewers, then you're getting a windfall, right? That's
Right.
what this model comes from, right? It could be because in that time between the upfront, the next season of Survivor, or we're previewing a new show with a big star, right? Like you would be betting on this thing being bigger than people expected, and you could get a windfall. And it just
Oh,
doesn't
it's so
really
interesting.
apply in digital, right?
Yeah, no, the measurement's too precise.
Yeah.
But yeah, while you were describing it, I was trying to think if I were a brand, how would I protect myself against this? And it seems like holding them to a performance outcome is kind of the only thing you can do. Because I was like trying to think, oh, well, what if I played them a fat fee per month? Like, no, the agency still has every incentive to do rebates if you're paying them a flat fee per month. It doesn't protect you at all. Like, I, it sounds like it's just a very hard thing to defend against.
Yeah. All right. Comment from Jonathan D'Souza Rado, having audited many holdco media plans recently, don't even try to hide it now where these rebates may be. Just some advertisers have no clue how to challenge it. Now, I think it's to their credit if they're not hiding it. They shouldn't be hiding it. But again, if it's conflict and it's not in the advertiser's interest, yeah, then they should hire a consultant to help them and help them renegotiate it.
It's so interesting.
Another comment from Albert. Every brand needs a digital investment partnerships function to help guide decision-making that is not spoiled by human incentives and guide
And
procurement on media specifics. So yes, I made a comment on Twitter yesterday. It's like this idea that the brand really wants to know how the money flows and get involved in all this arcane shit that me and Gareth know from the buy side and sell side is a popular fiction, and mostly they don't. But I will say, in response to these comments, like if they do, it's doable. But they should stop pretending like they do and then not following through, right? That is causing all kinds of conflict and misaligned incentives.
Yeah.
And I think that the intermediaries like McKinsey, MediaLink, A&A should step up and lead in this regard. Like they're already in the position where they can help the advertiser, and it will help reputable publishers too.
Yeah. I I unfortunately have a thesis on this one though, because publishers get really bent out of shape about this, because publishers constantly feel like they get told three different things over the course of a year about what buyers care about, and they try to like make investments to do those things, and then all of a sudden buyers don't care about them anymore, and publishers are like, wait, I just spun my wheels on this, like what do you actually mean? And it's very frustrating
Absolutely.
because this, yeah.
Absolutely.
And publishers don't have a lot of resources, man. Let me just throw that out there. The number of publishers that are super well resourced is super small. I'm talking to publishers many, many times per day. So it's really not fair. It's like it's two hard things at once. Um,
The one that throws me, Gareth, is why I assume it's just because their finances and books, but why will publishers drop so much price for a guarantee to get the money up front? Like the bidded deals sometimes cost twice as much as a guaranteed rate.
in open,
No, like if
I
I
thought
want to
that
make a
was
deal for a premium CTV publisher, I have to bid like $30. And I often find out from the agency is like, no, I'm running a guarantee with them at 15.
that's fascinating.
You didn't know
Um,
that?
well, so here's the thing. CTV is weird. There is a technical reason that CTV is, pardon my French, fucked up. It's because CTV has inbuilt pricing inefficiency, where CTV never made its way to a unified auction. It's still not a unified auction. You still have CTV ad servers and like these like weird price floor pings where every impression in CTV is pinged to the ad exchange 20 different times at different pricing points. And meanwhile, the CTV has salespeople going out and doing deals like the one you just said. Um, CTV is weird like that, where there is very, very strange pricing inefficiency that exists in CTV. Now, that being said, there is precedent for spot markets being more expensive than guaranteed markets. The like web and online video is actually a little strange in that the open markets are cheaper than the direct sold markets are. Like you pay a premium for direct sales in web. Um, and I thought the history of in advertising is, oh no, you get like it's cheaper if you get it guaranteed, and if you want to go buy it on a smart market last minute, you're paying through the nose. Um,
That makes sense. So just because there's so many bids, right? It's about the
yeah,
density.
but yeah, I think that it's CTV is just broken. I just hate it as a channel. I just hate it. It's just don't get me
Sorry,
started. But yeah, that's
catching
why that
up on my
happens.
protein. Can someone else read the comment?
Yeah, I'll read it. When brands are saying that blanket statement about outcomes, in my humble opinion, it's non-channel experts managing the agencies. Why is any brand satisfied with hitting a goal and not trying to beat it?
Wow. Great question. But, Kara's a Chalice customer. Like we're pushing the limit on the valuation of inventory for the brand. Like we can actually say, it's not like shades of good and bad. We could say this is good for this product's new brand acquisition. This is how much better this publisher is than that. And within this publisher, this is how much better this format and this topic is than that. So when you're getting that much information back on your own valuation, you have a much firmer leg to stand on with publishers. And if you have good negotiation, you'll be sharing this information with them. Like this is what we value. This is what we want to make more of. So I think that path is open, but it's very, the game hasn't even really started around these better, or maybe it's going to start this year around getting to better negotiations. We did something for a client where we optimized a CTV guarantee. So we didn't have to deal with bidding. We said like, our model for this customer is so good, we're going to pre-price everything someone might be able to stream on this CTV network, and you make up a guarantee with the best possible value you can, and it delivered, and the results were good. So
We'll just tell you what to buy. We won't tell you what to bid. We'll just tell you which ones to buy.
yeah, or just score everything. So we say make your guarantee as good a score as you can, and the better it performs, the more likely it gets renewed.
Yeah. Something that I've always thought about in this, in exactly this vein, is the construction of a DSP, and I've always tried to think about incentives, because people are always saying that DSPs always want to pay the lowest price, and I've tried to back that out actually into the construction of the DSP algorithm. And since algorithms are doing valuation, I don't know that they always want to pay the lowest price, because to do a valuation, you need to know the value that you are going to achieve when the outcome occurs to a certain extent, right? Whether that's a static number or a dynamic number, the algorithm needs to know that there's something it's backing into. And that like is kind of why you have to have a number. Like otherwise it doesn't know how to compare like the price to the expected value. I feel like that's why DSPs are built the way they are, not like get the cheapest. It's like, okay, well, tell me what your number is, and that's how I'll figure out what to bid. Because that's how I know if it's inbounds or not.
What do you mean? No, I mean the cost has to be lower than the value.
Exactly. That's how it knows, like, well,
Yeah.
it knows, like, hey, to figure out what value it's going to bid for a thing, it needs to know the probability, but also the number. Like, like, hey, if an outcome occurs, this is what I think it's going to be worth. That's how I figure out what I'm going to bid.
No, the way it works is the predicted value includes, it's wrapped up in the predicted value is the likelihood, is all that likelihood.
Right.
The complicated part is that if you always go minimum bid to win, you never know, like you'll win a certain amount. But unless you do scenario planning, which is pretty new that you could be able to do this, you don't know what would happen if you bid up and increase that win rate. If it's like this stuff seems pretty good for the cost, how much headroom is there? How much more do I get? And is that the best possible way I could spend this money?
Yeah, it's interesting.
That's hard.
Um, uh, one thing that I spend a lot of time thinking about is reducing asymmetry in these places. So, publishers have no idea how any of this works or that this is happening.
That's
The other
bad.
one is, oh, it's terrible. That's why they don't. The only feedback loop publishers have is like it's like really rough. We Part of the purpose of our tooling is to try and make it more granular for them. Like, hey, when you increase these specific attributes across everything, this is like the bidding behavior. But a weird thought here. Doing trade desk questions now. But a weird thought here, and I think it's a really important one, is exchanges. You used a very specific term, min bid to win, which is historically a Google AdX feature,
Yeah.
where AdX shares this is what the min bid to win would have been after the fact. They say
Yes,
this
that's
auction cleared
predicting.
at
That's
this.
just predict the auction clearing cost. You have Google has a ton of data on every auction. They could predict the clearing cost and bid a fraction of a penny more. Chalice can do that to some extent, but that's the idea. All right, questions are rolling in. Let's take them.
Yeah. It's Kara again. Predicted value next to delivery prioritization does what though? I think that I know the answer to this one. It makes Adam's life harder. That's what it does.
Yeah, delivery prioritization is what I meant by scenario planning. You have to say, what if I passed on this? And when we do scenario planning, it's for that campaign. When Trade Desk does a scenario planning, it's across thousands of advertisers.
Of course. And also like they have to take into account which of my advertisers are underpacing right now, and I have to try and catch them up. So even if I think it's a worse bid that has a lower likelihood of winning, they're underpacing. I really want them to win. So maybe it's worth taking the shot. Oh God, so much logic. Um,
It's monstrous. I don't know if the problem is solvable, and it plays into the other question we got while we were talking, which was, is Trade Desk in a death spiral? I'm going to answer no to that, but I will say when we get to talking about it, they have taken on a massive problem in complicating an already very complicated algorithm, and now taking and trying to choose the path, trying to predict the best path to when no, I'll explain in depth when we get there. But anyway, the way that Chalice approaches the problem is that for advertiser X, bid request Y gets bid Z, always, right? So we do not say, because we have thousands of advertisers, we have to vary this based on how many people have to pace, right?
Yeah.
So Trade Desk's issue is if they get the same bid request 5 times, they'll have 5 different bids for 5 different advertisers. We are hoping that through the the new infrastructure and deployments that we're doing, we could stick with 1 bid per campaign, put that bid in all the SSPs or a set of SSPs, and then whoever has the lowest fees will win, right? So we
Well,
don't have to pick it. It will naturally happen as a result of bid request X always getting bid response Y. Whoever is taking the least money off the bid will win.
but let's be frank here, though. The drawback to your approach is a drawback for Chalice. Like, it means there are certain scenarios where you will have clients who underpace, and you are not going to intervene on their behalf to help them pace.
No, that's not true. Why can't we just bid up to help? I mean, we're doing the pacing scenarios all the time.
Sure, but you're going to do it by bidding them up. The trade desk has the fluidity to choose to withhold other bids in that moment.
Yeah, right.
And like that is, it's a thing. They're optimizing
But still, they still have
holistically.
to bid enough to win.
Sure do. And they can't depace the other campaigns. They have to
It's a
deliver too.
QPS issue,
But
right?
it's a
In a scenario where we have more QPS allotted to us across SSPs than Trade Desk can apply, then we can beat him.
Oh gosh, don't get me started on QPS. I don't think Path is so complicated. I really don't. But yeah, I also think principle-based buying is super, super interesting. I think this is a fascinating thing that occurs in agency world, and the thing that we haven't talked about is the curation layer has become the place at which agencies are seeing a nice like technology to insert their rebate logic. That is a thing.
Yeah,
And
we're 10
so
years into that.
yeah, I mean, well, it used to happen very manually with ad exchanges, very manually. Because I don't know
Yeah.
if you ever seen the guts of an ad exchange that's not index. It's not pretty in there. It's real old. It doesn't do a whole lot. And these are handshake deals that would have to happen between the holdcos. Curation has made it so that these rebates can be done by anyone for little itty bitty agencies for whoever, where they just do a deal with a curator or they get their own curation seat. And now it's like, oh, if you spend this much money with me, I'll give you back this much money at the end of the year.
Yeah, let's
It's
put that in
really
context.
lubricated
Like
it.
Sasha, let's advance the slide. Let's see the pie graphs you made out of the data that showed up in Digiday. We go full screen on this. This is what was reported in that story that came out in the filing about, and these pies aren't the whole. These are the giants that they were talking about. Oh no, we did add the unknown slice. So everything we're talking about in programmatic and SSP rebates is in these little black slices, right? So what came out in this story is the piece that me and Gareth certainly don't see, which is that these pools from the giants and the alleged rebate and liquidation action that's going on. You could read the story for the detail. For me, the most impressive detail, the thing that really jumped out, is that the company with half of each of these pies didn't really participate on either side of this rebate game. They weren't granting the rebates and they weren't taking the inventory from the big principally bought pool. And I think that's a really important takeaway, that there's 2 markets.
It's crazy.
That's a
It's
really long
crazy.
sound effect. Yeah, there's 2
It's
realities and 2
insane.
markets, and the biggest player is not in the mud, right? And
No.
they could claim that they are cleaner for not participating in this, but in context, it should alarm anyone in the marketplace that everyone else has to engage in these activities that bring up conflicts or feel they have to engage, and the giant flies above it.
They're cleaner because they're a monopoly. Like,
Yeah.
that's why. Like, it's crazy. They dictate the terms. They're the only one who dictates the terms. It's absolutely wild. I mean, these are such horrifying slides. They're so nuts. Um, like, like Google is the world's advertising business. Like, that's what it is. Um,
Yeah, and a lot of this is because
Crazy.
WPP is Google's agency. So Google's global promotion of Google's products, which is, a humongous global advertising campaign for many, many products, is done mostly on Google inventory, right? They do some on others, but it sounds like they mostly do it on their own. So it inflates this number of what was spent on Google.
That would make sense. It also introduces this lovely thing where Google can see what pops out the other side. They can be like, WPP, we paid you this much money and we got this much money. So
Right.
good luck with shenanigans, because we can see everything. We are the ones getting paid. Very interesting.
Funny story I heard was that Google custom bidding, which is their custom algorithm input part, came out of Google's campaign as people were trying to raise awareness using Google tools, and we're like, these are terrible for awareness. Like, everything is based on propensity to convert based on the Google ID, really low quality inventory, and we're not moving the needle on awareness. Like, we need a way
So
to
interesting.
push this algorithm to buy bigger ads with more viewability and better environments, and that came the weighting system that is known as DV360 custom bidding to this day.
No kidding.
That's true.
That's an amazing story. That's so fascinating.
It was also in beta for years. No one but
such a good
Google
one.
used it for years before they released it.
Wow. It turns out Google figured out that brand advertising works.
They learn from their own brand advertisers.
Oh yeah, Ryan. That must be the best job. Just so much fun.
The comment is to be a Google sales rep calling on WPP.
So much
Yeah.
fun.
I mean, but how do you get it high? Because I know a lot of Google sales reps and have lived with one. Their problem is when you're getting 5 billion, how do you ask for 6? The company would be like, my budget is 5 billion. You're getting it all. Yeah.
Yeah. They
There's
find a way.
saturation. Did we miss one comment or question? I believe we did. Let's wind back.
People want us to go off on TTD.
There's the trade desk question. Yeah. Is there any
Yeah, they want
more
us to
on
go
the
off.
Digiday story? We have earnings next and not that. All right, let's get the trade desk question and then we'll do earnings where trade desk will come up. I just want to make sure I caught the comment. Maldo, did we lose it? The one we didn't answer? It was like, I don't think they're in death spiral, but
oh, let me see if I can find
something. Yeah, coffee break for me and Gareth.
Yeah.
Let's try the voice triggers. Gamera.
Oh, they're being fairly valued.
Oh, here was the first part,
Yeah, we got that. Froth.
and then there was this.
Yeah.
Albert says, I don't think they're in a death spiral, just now being properly valued in public markets after years of insane froth. And Albert, I couldn't come back and say, I think last time I looked, they were being valued at like 3x revenue. And I'm sorry, 3x revenue is low for a company like Trade Desk. Their value is a lot more than 3x revenue. I mean, it was previously like 100x revenue. Listening, thanks. All right.
Yeah, that was heavy. 100x was hot and heavy. But hey, they thought they were gonna grow.
But what?
They thought they were gonna grow.
They are growing.
My thesis is no, but like my thesis is still when they were at 130 billion. I had an X chat about this. They should have bought a small country. That would have been the move, and just integrate the whole country into advertising and create the perfect marketing society. But let's talk about it. Earnings.
Okay. Invite Poppy back. Who's Poppy? That's what they call me in my Puerto Rican grocery store.
In Philly, those are called poppy stores.
Oh, really?
They're
They're
bodegas in New York, but if you talk to anyone in Philly, they're poppy stores.
They're Poppy stores. Huh. What do you think of CDD guidance and earnings call? I mean, whatever. We can't give stock advice.
Oh God, you don't want it.
But all right? Do we have an earnings summary? I haven't seen what you made again because I was late today.
We do. That's coming.
Marley, what did you mean about Poppy? The soda?
No, I'm saying I would love to have Jeff back on the show.
Oh,
Slightly, I'm
Oh.
asking. I feel like we talk about it a lot and we should hear it from the man himself. So
Yeah, of course. Jeff is welcome back anytime. It might be harder next time. We went easy.
Yeah. The withdrawal from OpenPath. Was that
Yeah.
last week?
We covered that story last week.
That was last week.
Trishla's
Yeah,
been trying to tell people on social media that her name is Trishla, not Trisha, as many have called her.
I saw
So
that.
let's note
All
that.
right. Sasha's got it in there. Yeah, they're making more money. Like they grew and they pulled back on guidance, right? The reason the market reacted the way it did is because their guidance was soft, right? That's the thesis here, right, Adam? Is and
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is the discourse right now that I think that is worth discussing is people are saying, is the thesis of an independent DSP becoming passe? Right? Is like that something where people now no longer care if you have owned media properties, they just care about something else.
And data too. A lot of people yelping about data
Owned.
because Media Math and Philion bought a retail panel. Like, oh yeah, now you need data. I really do not believe that. I oppose that point of view. But it's even worse because Trade Desk's thesis is not really about it's not about independence primarily. It's about the open internet primarily, right? They have pinned their narrative to the open internet. So Trade Desk doing bad looks like the market voting against the open internet. Now that's not true at all. Part of the Trade Desk misfortune is Amazon's incursion into their open internet space, and others too, like smaller companies as well, coming up on them. I think it's not remarked on enough, certainly not by Trade Desk investors who know so little about ad tech. The Trade Desk benefited from Google's dominance for many years. They were a company that Google could not afford to kill. It would look terrible, but they killed everyone else. So they had sort of a cleared field. You could not get funded to make another DSP. Beeswax is the only one that got funded in like a 10-year period. And, I know as someone who went out trying to get ad tech investment, Trade Desk was one of the only ones investing as they invested in both of us. Trade Desk TD7 was along with Imperium Ventures, the ones who were investing in new ad tech companies, and a few others, angels, but very few VC firms investing in new ad tech from that period. So they're dealing with more competition than they have in the last 10 years. And that's a factor that I think should mitigate this narrative about the open internet doing poorly.
Yeah.
But
well,
yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. I think that once again, buy side layman's understanding was that at one point there was a field. And what had happened was the agency holding companies basically came to the conclusion that having multiple DSPs was a pain in the ass, that testing new DSPs was a pain in the ass, and they wanted to consolidate.
Yes.
And Trade Desk just won the consolidation games. Like at
Trade
the
Desk
end of
and
the
Google.
day,
Trade Desk
Trade
and
Desk
Google.
and Google, right? DV360 and TTD won
DV360
the
would have been wiped
consolidation
out
games.
if they hadn't moved YouTube, but they said you could only buy YouTube through DV360, and that allowed DV360 to be the number one or two
to
in
live.
the trading desk. And then
Yeah.
Amazon squeezed in with their DSP because they couldn't say no to Amazon.
Now
And
wait, why
then
can't
there
you
were
say
three.
no to Amazon? Is it because the data is so good?
Yes.
Why can't you say no to Amazon? Okay, so
Because
here's
the
my
commerce
question.
customers, because every agent holding company has a few customers for whom Amazon sales is their business. Like the one I always think of is Sony. Like Sony used to have a store called Sony Style, and at some point they closed Sony Style because customers preferred to buy Sony through Amazon.
Interesting.
It's so much more efficient, right? So if you have the Sony account and Amazon comes along and says, we have a DSP that's especially good at selling stuff through Amazon, you can't say no. So that's how they got to be number 3.
So I think it's really fascinating because I think there's two phenomena there. One of them is that the expectations at agency holding companies have shifted because of that expectation of performance. Like because my read on so much of this spend and so much of what we were talking about earlier with principle-based buying and so much about the limitations of outcomes and things like that, where the Trade Desk was able to really thrive in that world where they could deliver the product that agencies needed that delivered to the audiences that they wanted, because at the time audience-based buying was a big thing, and I still see this in emails. I was forwarded a horrifying email from a publisher just like yesterday where they were talking to an agency for a giant brand, and the publisher was trying to sell directly, and the giant brand said, well, all we really care about is buying our first party data assets on your site, and we can do that via our DSP, so we don't really see a reason to talk to you.
Oh, man.
And yeah, oh, it was a hard one. I read it and I was like,
Yeah, this is
like
why they pull
the
IDs out,
programmatic
right? This
nightmare.
is why they just pull the IDs out of the logs. Be like, all right, so you can't cherry pick people off my site.
You got it.
Not great.
But like, and so in that world, right, consolidating everything on one DSP that had access to as many SSPs as possible because of ID bridging allowed you to deliver these audience-based campaigns. But for Amazon to win on that commerce client, they're saying, no, 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 we're going to drive sales. That's what we're going to do. And that's a different thing, right? That's like
No, Trade Desk always drove sales. I'm missing your point. Trade
Did
Desk
they?
was a great performer. The reason they won and cleared that field was performance.
But it was performance, really?
Yes,
Their margins
I
are
agree
so
100%
high,
with
Adam.
Ryan. I didn't think he was
Yeah.
old enough. Trade Desk and Google used to feel like the Republic versus the Empire. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
fascinating to me because I always thought that, right, like in a
I find your lack
performance-driven
of
world,
faith
margin
disturbing.
reduction would like naturally happen, and that doesn't seem to be the case to me. Trade desk margins are quite high,
And they went up. They went up. So say
and they
say
went
it
up
again. Rewind. Like in what world margins would go down?
in a performance-driven world where if buyers really cared about performance, like don't get me wrong, I'm sure Chalice makes beautiful, wonderful algorithms, but like in a competitive market where the buyer's primary determinant of allocation was performance, somebody taking a 40 or 50% margin versus somebody taking a 10% margin, the 40 or 50% margin, no matter how good they were at their job, was going to
No.
lose.
The competition is Google, which takes, what did the trials found? 32% on the sell side.
Oh,
So
I
30,
mean, Google's there. They
that's the
take,
competition. The competition is taking 47% margin, 15% for DV360,
there
30
used to
something
be a
percent on the sell
field.
side.
There
What?
were other cheaper DSPs before it was the Republic and the Empire. There
Okay,
were
but they
other
didn't have the
DSPs.
ML. Yeah, right. So you need.
They did though. MediaMath had the brain. Like that was on the t-shirt. Turn did something. I mean, ostensibly. There were
No,
other
I mean,
companies that had optimization, and I didn't think they lost because of performance, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they just got swept because the trade desk performed better than everyone else, but that wasn't my read. My read was that the trade desk
it was
played the agency
absolutely
game better.
performance. It was
Interesting.
a comment. I mean, it was performance primarily. There was also agency service. Performance, the other DSPs tried to go with a set it and forget it model, like our algorithm will do all the work. Trade
Yeah.
Desk was the one who recognized these things actually need a lot of tweaking. A human's going to have to do it, and that human's going to need training. So we're going to go into all the agencies and train every week, sometimes twice a week, account by account, how to fix all these, how to change the bid modifiers and selections. And they had this huge, console of choices. So the factors were service, performance through modularity and optionality. And the data marketplace was completely unique and different than the way the others had gone about it, right? Trade Desk realized the third-party data had a role in having better performance. You couldn't be set it and forget it. You had to have some ability to select on data and optimize on data choices. And building all those things in is how Trade Desk won the great bake-off wars of 2014, 15, 16, and became, the biggest share in the holding companies. And everyone who was there will tell you the same thing. We, as the heads of the trading desks, were very happy to see Turn and MediaMath go because they pitched our clients and Trade Desk didn't.
Yeah.
Trade Desk said, we just want to be the holding company guy. And we're like, great, if you can win, great. And once they went public, it got easy. Then they were famous.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So are those things enough to be a moat in 2026?
Well,
That is the question of the hour.
So the old Trade Desk pitch was about bid expressiveness and valuation.
Ooh, that's nice. Expressiveness. That's a
Bid
great word
expressiveness
choice.
and valuation. And Jeff's original pitch is that he set up an exchange and could see the prices coming in were all in the zero zeros, $1, $2, $3. There was no expressiveness, nobody bidding in the fractions and pennies
Oh, I
because they
like
didn't
that.
have the decisioning power. And so he saw, if I could build a buy side tool that can do these valuations to exactly to the penny and get it right, I really have something. And I think Chalice is more the heir of that vision than today's version of Trade Desk. We have just kept pushing in that area of better valuation, more optionality, more training for the human beings, more person plus machine. And Trade Desk, to be fair, is a big company and has many more people to please. Right? I'm not in the position of having to please multiple holding companies, let alone Wall Street, multiple big advertisers, all of the giant publishers. Like it's to build all that into an algorithm that works for everyone is just a monstrous job. And that's not my job. I'm trying to just do what Trade Desk was doing for me, just have perfect bids per campaign.
So it's really interesting though, because in our discussion with Ryan online, and I think Ryan really like astutely pointed out, there are up and coming DSPs again. People are for the first time starting to talk about working with the DSPs. And if you're saying the primary reason that the Trade Desk won the consolidation wars was they made it perform, um, I'm not sure that performance is a moat in 2026 because now with new architectures and like superior understanding of the supply chain, the margin compression is going to come. Like it's just going to come. I don't see how it could not. And B, a lot of people are making performant things. Like
Yeah.
it's happening
AI,
now.
AI.
AI is here.
It's gonna be everywhere. Yeah.
So I think that I think it's really I don't know. I love the Trade Desk. I really, really do. I think the open path thing was the right thing to do. And like, my gosh, Ryan pointed it out on X. He's correct. Google has their own version of it. They buy through GAM through AdX, and AdX takes margins, but as we've seen in the lawsuit, those margins are fungible. And then Amazon has APS, and yes, Amazon buying through APS is direct. Trade Desk had to have OpenPath. Like they had to have it, and without it, they're at a disadvantage. And so I just think, is it enough? Like if performance is really the reason, I don't know. Performance seems like it's hot and heavy in lots of places in 2026.
Yeah. I think it's not going super well. I think they're certain to improve and get better. My public advice to Jeff, come on the show and let's talk about it. I think they sort of went at it alone, and they should have gone at this with allies, and there should have been people, in my opinion, there should have been people on the inside, other companies who are on the inside about what they were trying to do and helping communicate this and improve it. And, I think the organization is a little bunkered and paranoid looks
Well,
from the outside and battled, right? And now that they're not, whatever, their market cap shrank. They're not the megalith they used to be. And Jeff knows way more than me about every topic related to this, and I don't deign to advise him. But I wonder and would suggest, to the extent that he wants to hear what I have to say, is it time to be a leader among allies who want, directionally the same thing: less money in the middle, more transparency, more expressiveness, better valuations of inventory, and a healthier ecosystems alternative to the walled gardens? Is it time for Trade Desk to go at it less alone?
yeah. I mean, I think it's just so unfair that their initiatives to make those things happen, like, were maligned by their own clients. Like, I find that just so twisted, and it's hard, man. That sucks because they really like the Open Path has many faults. Maybe actually, I'm not sure that it does. But even if it did, one of those faults is not that it's inefficient. Like, it's pretty indisputably super efficient.
If you're
Like,
caught in the middle and with competing interests and you're blowing it, some should be happy and some should be mad. It feels like everyone's mad at them. Wall Street's mad, the agencies are mad, clients are mad, media's mad. It's like, I don't know, maybe publishers.
No,
Are
publishers aren't
mad at
mad.
Trade Desk
They,
now?
no, they turned the tide with publishers. Publishers are just like, hey, if you can get me more money, that's great. Let's do it. That was a successful PR turnaround. They did that one. Publishers.
All right,
Publishers like
good. So it's
taking it
not
easy.
everyone. They're gonna build them all back.
The
Let's
companies
buy-
with no money.
I'm not
they're
giving any
stoked.
stock advice. But now, just after this conversation, I think I'm gonna buy some more Trade Desk stock while it's at whatever it's at, $10, $20 now.
Yeah, that's good. It's a reasonable time to buy in.
I gotta go pitch Chalice. Thanks for reminding me.
All right, guys.
Want to keep running the show? You can do it. I gotta go.
Oh, we can wrap it up, man. It's all right.
All right.
We got our stop at 1. Well, we'll resume next week. I think we can.
It
There are
went
a few more
fast.
things we should dig in. I know it
I
went
felt
so
like we
fast.
just started.
Yeah. I think we should unpack more of what made the trade desk successful, though, because I think there are a lot of people in 2026 who are like, "What does success look like?" And I really like the dialogue because, like, what are people building now that's causing this to happen? And I think ARTF is involved, and modularity is involved, and all these new architectural things are very interesting and very related.
It's going so well. Not to brag.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
All right.
Well,
Talk
cool.
soon.
Thanks for joining,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank
Thanks,
you for your
chat.
comments and questions. It was
you
wonderful to
next
see
week.
you all. Take care.
Darn, that's the
Yo,
end.
the crowd is back, the lights are dim. Front row's buzzing, it's about to begin. AdTech, ad talk, they're taking the stage. Adam and Gareth on a knowledge ramp.